So the other piece of it, rookie Dillon Gabriel, mentioned earlier, he'll become the first quarterback to make his first NFL start in an international game. He talked about being named the starter to face the Vikings.
From the beginning, this is the moment you look forward to as a competitor. But, it's part of my job, to be ready, to be that, sense of hope for everyone to continue to be better and come together and create momentum for each other. So excited for that, but just also extremely focused at doing my job at a high level.
How do you think you've managed to stay ready over these first 4 weeks of the regular season?
Yeah, a lot of walkthroughs, a lot of meetings you got to be really tuned into. And then, I think just you look at all the work from beginning of OTAs and rookie minicamp to now, I think that's all installation that you can really pride yourself on and the reps built up. So moments, that build up and then to get here. But, like I said, it's extreme focus on just doing my job at a high level and continue to do that for one another.
Let's welcome in Jacob Roach from the Orange and Brown Report, Barking Browns podcast. So, Jacob, you've heard all of that. Your reaction to the move?
Initially, there's a little bit of concern because he's going against Brian Flores in that defense, and that is not an ideal first start to make against. You got the guy who blitzes the most in the NFL in Flores, and that defense is loaded with talent. So I got some concern there, but I do understand why they made the move. I mean, when you watch the offense, it's been really bad. Quarterback isn't necessarily the only thing that's wrong with that offense, but Joe's inability to move, I think the lack of mobility kind of limits some of the playbook, but also kind of compounds the issues they're having on the offensive line. So I think trying to get a guy with a little bit more mobility and a guy that maybe has a little bit, doesn't hold the ball quite as well, quite as long and wants to get it out makes a lot of sense to me. I was a big Dillon Gabriel guy during his draft process. I was really happy when they got him. So I think if you were to make an argument for this move or against this move, I think you would be right, because I do think it might be just a tad bit early, but a lot of times this is the kind of spark that an offense needs.
When you look at it, I still think the Vikings and Steelers are two of the more winnable games based on who you have played the first four. The problem was if Flacco was going to turn the ball over like he has, what's the difference between Flacco or a rookie that you're worried about? I'm assuming you're worried about him turning the ball over.
Yeah, absolutely. Dillon Gabriel is risk adverse more so than Joe Flacco, but he's also a rookie playing in his first NFL game. And I talked to a buddy of mine yesterday about the move before it was official, and he said, if you're going to go out there and make those turnovers, like you said, he's like, I'd rather it be a rookie so the rookie can begin the learning process and the growing process. So if you weren't seeing any improvement from the offense, and you weren't, then I can understand why you say, okay, if we need to have growing pains, why not have growing pains with the young guy instead of the 40-year-old guy who's, at the end of his career?
And again, Joe Flacco, Browns fans were enamored with Joe Flacco that came in and beat, I think it was 5 games against quarterbacks that weren't very good. He didn't play like that. There was no downfield explosion. And I don't know why. All you can go by is what you see.
Yeah, especially because I thought in camp and when I was there and some of the other videos that I saw, I thought his arm looked just as good as it did, in 2023. But there was a couple of times in this past game where I saw him have to use his entire body to throw the ball 5 to 10 yards. The mobility what little bit he still had in 2023 was completely gone. And I think he got in his head a lot where, the offensive line is struggling. And so once they were getting early pressure to him, he was starting to feel phantom pressure when they actually blocked. Every once in a while, they actually blocked well for him, and he was having issues. It's just, I don't think he trusted his eyes. And I think the mental side of it, as well as some physical, he's gone downhill a little bit more physically, and the mental side of it is gotten away from him too. So kind of that baseline where you're like, hey, he's been here and seen a ton of defenses and all that mental side of the stuff that you thought was going to give you a high floor. It wasn't there. He just doesn't look like the player he was a couple of years ago. And that's really unfortunate because I was excited to see him back too. But, the mental side of it is just as bad as the physical side. And I just don't think he's a starter quality quarterback anymore.